Hi there, welcome to Fly Tarot. I'm going to do a tarot card reading for Cancer energy. And we're going to see what's going on. This could be a story that more affects people who are Cancer Sun, Moon, or Rising sign, or has significant Cancer placements in their chart, but we all do tap into Cancer energy, and Cancer is emotional water sign energy about love and love of self, love of others. People can be at different emotional maturity levels, It's kind of, do we think it's important? Do we invest in it? Have we kind of grown and matured ourselves emotionally? Have we learned how to love ourselves? Do we too much love ourselves and we're just all about ourselves? Do we love the world? Do we love things we indulge in? Do we love indulging ourselves in relationships? So people are at different emotional maturity levels in their Cancer sign energy. So we're going to read it from those perspectives. Kind of view this as the overarching reason for the reading, which is the Two of Cups. It's not showing itself. And so for the cards that aren't showing themselves, well, it can have different meanings, but it can mean that with some of the people in our life, we don't know them well enough to know, do they harness high vibe Cancer energy or a more shadowy Cancer energy? At the heart of the reading is the Page of Wands, which can represent all three of the fire signs of Aries and Leo and Sagittarius, which can kind of be, are people more immature or do they have that more hopeful, believing spirit? And the outcome is the Nine of Pentacles in reverse. Some people aren't very stable and grounded within themselves. Some people don't want to invest in love. They like kind of being more about themselves or very much about the world. Other people, if you're in a relationship or a job or friendships, you don't want to become independent of those relationships. And there might be some people that want, if you're not in, say, a romantic relationship, there might be some people who don't want to be independent from you anymore. But I suppose that could be a friendship also. So what do we have? We start out with the Page of Swords, the King of Swords, and the Four of Swords. So you could have communicated your truth to some people in the Page of Swords, all three of the air signs, in your Libra, your Gemini, and your Aquarius. You do have a dream. You could be communicating with some people your truth, treating people. The pages can be trying to get to know people. It can be just friendly gestures of people, but you do know your truth. You're maintaining balance within yourself. The King of Swords is Libra energy, represented by the scales of justice. So in high vibe, you want to move forward. You're speaking your truth to people, working together with people in a just and fair way. And in the Four of Swords, which is also Libra energy, which can talk about being balanced within yourself and being balanced between your more hopeful, believing, loving nature and though requiring things to be just and fair, because you've already been in more heartbreaking or more unjust, unfair, unbalanced relationships. And so willing to get to know people, but it has to be based in like truth and love and justice and fairness. Then we have the Three of Swords. There could be some people that we would like to be in a more just, fair, balanced relationship with, but some of those people could be focused on what they're focused on. And so it's kind of accepting the truth that maybe with some of those people in our life that there will be no new beginning with them. And so high vibe energy is about accepting the truth, kind of getting out of your ego about it. And then we have the Page of Wands, which is looking to the future. And again, in your Aries, your Leo, and your Sagittarius energy, we accept the truth that everybody is where they're at. Everybody is living their life in the way that they think is just and fair. some of those people are moving forward with us in our life, some people aren't, and we're inspired to look to the future. And so then let's look at this card. We have the Justice card, lots of Libra in this reading. So a big difference, because this is all three of the air signs, which Libra is one of them. This is Libra, that's Libra, and this is Libra. So a real big difference between what we could think is just and fair and what other people think is just and fair, and our dreams and our aspirations, and if we're more inspired to kind of move forward in life a little differently because of a dream that we have, and other people could be moving forward with other people trying to manifest their dreams, but other people could harness this energy in a more shadowy way, that they like to live more from their mind than their heart, maybe don't want to do love. Some of them don't want to be more just and fair and balanced, could be more about themselves, kind of want to be indulged in a relationship, whether they're male or female. And of course, they think that's just and fair. So, we can know all sorts of people in our life, from our adult children, brothers, sisters, mom, dad, neighborhood people, coworkers, and we deal with all sorts of types of people in the world. Some of the people, could we be sad that, they're not more inspired to maybe have a little, either work together with us in a more just and fair way, or have more hope and faith and belief in themselves or in others or in love? Yes, but we accept the truth of it, that everybody's where they're at. And that with some people we could maybe never get justice with them, because if what our dreams are and how we think it's just and fair to treat people in relationships, again, some people are shadowy in their Cancer energy. They're more about, can be using their emotions manipulatively, trying to manipulate loving people in their life, more caught up in themselves or things they indulge in, or other things like being in love with the world, and either things they're kind of caught up in that they like to indulge in to make themselves feel better, or more about the world. Make the most important thing can be that they think is just and fair is to make their life more about the world. And so their idea of the dream life and is different than your idea of the dream life, because high vibe energy is about truth, love, justice, fairness, growing up, maturing yourself, tempering your more immature egoic nature, and just living a more balanced life. We all can have things of the world that we want to manifest, but some people are willing to sacrifice love in order to have those things, and other people aren't. It's like, do I want some of these things of the world? Yes, but I also want just and fair and balanced and loving places of employment and friendship and relationship. And other people could sacrifice liking a job or even the people that they're in relationship with, if they think that will get them these things of the world that they want. So then we have the Nine of Cups, the Seven of Cups, and the Death card. So from the Nine of Cups down to, well, from the 2 to the 9 is the 7, and then from the 9 down to the 7 is the 2. So the 2 of Cups in Cancer energy can talk about that we could have significant people in our life. That could be people who came into our life and, they could be part of our life, but again, Nine of Cups, are we more independent of living more from our mind than our heart, being in more imbalanced relationships? High vibe Nine of Cups is being more independent. High vibe Seven of Cups of Scorpio is wanting to be in more deep, meaningful relationships. And again, some people's idea of a just and fair relationship that they want to be in can be more where they're indulged and it is maybe a little more superficial and shallow, and maybe where they use their emotions more manipulatively. And then we have the Death card, which is also like the Seven of Cups Scorpio energy, that we could just feel the Death card can talk about death and transformation, where we go on this journey of life to learn these lessons, and hopefully we become more independent of maybe our more defensive nature, our more immature nature, being more about ourselves, being more self-indulgent, and some people are, and they want people to be in a relationship with them. And since they think it's just and fair to live their life like that, they want other people to be in a relationship and kind of indulge them in kind of those ways of being. And though we can have love for those people, I don't think you're very just or fair. You might like a more imbalanced relationship where people indulge you in poor behavior. And, you know, it's never going to be a more just and fair relationship. And it's kind of working through the emotional confusion of that between the 2 and the 9 being the 7 of Cups, that Scorpio can talk about exploring the mysteries of life emotionally. And the truth is, with the Page of Swords representing all three of the air signs, everybody in their Gemini nature has their free will to align with in their dualistic nature. If they're kind of more about themselves or the world, or more motivated and inspired by love, and what they think is just and fair in their idea of the dream life. And it's confusing to accept the truth that to try to understand it, if you're someone who's more motivated, and you'd kind of have to, in your Aries and Leo and Sagittarius energy, probably feel more confident within yourself to be able to do love, and that's high vibe Scorpio. I do want to explore life emotionally. I am an emotionally complex human being, and I want to be more independent of living more from my mind than my heart. And I want to heal from past pain and heartbreak. And I want to not stay in my more self protective, defensive energy. And I don't want to make my life about making other things a priority in my life. I want to work through my emotional confusion. I want to be connected in with my emotions and my intuition. And over here, kind of starting here, is where we have the cup energy. And the truth is, for people that are more inspired to live more from their mind than their heart, they could have made that free will decision. I find it confusing. We are emotionally complex people. It's confusing. I hate them. I love them. I never want to talk to them. I hope they call me tomorrow. And some people at some point in time in their life could have decided, it's just too confusing. I am an emotionally complex person and I don't even want to get to know me. And so they could be people who choose to live more from their mind than their heart. They don't really connect in their free will. They're not balanced between their more worldly nature and their creative, inspired, loving nature to be more balanced within themselves and emotionally connected in with themselves. So they could be more emotionally disconnected, and they could feel like that is how they want to live their life, because they've decided it's just and fair. I turn my back on being more balanced, is what the Three of Swords can talk about, and I don't want to do love because I get hurt. And so I'm okay with not doing love. Could they want to be in friendship and relationships with people? Yes. But then it is kind of more about using their emotions manipulatively, their sexuality manipulatively, their words, their charm, their assets, their looks, whatever they got, to to keep people in a relationship with them, but they just don't want to do more deep, meaningful relationships because it's hard for them. They find it confusing. And if there's someone who has chosen not to, don't even like to tap into them much, that shadowy Scorpio. I kind of like to stay on the surface of my emotions. I don't like to go into my emotions. That gets confusing. Maybe for some people, it kind of throws them out of balance. And so they're going to live their life like that. And those people could kind of be hiding from other people because shadowy energy can be people who do try to create an illusion. They are more motivated by truth and love and justice and fairness to try to get people to get in a relationship with them, but they're hiding, they're not very balanced, and that if people get in a relationship with them, it will probably not be a more balanced relationship because a just and fair relationship is that should be because of love. And in love, you are supposed to treat other people the way you like to be treated. But some people are quite immature and they're more about themselves. And I view the King of Swords can be like a person's self protective, defensive nature. And so they're fearful, and maybe get all caught up in their head, both Aquarius and Gemini, that people in their Gemini and Aquarius energy could be people who do get caught more up in their head and maybe get caught up in their fear, their insecurities, and their fear of being heartbroken and don't trust other people. Shadowy Scorpio can be people who are like a private detective in a relationship because, and partly I think it's because they know they're kind of wearing a false mask. Because in high vibe energy, you are being authentically yourself and you are not trying to present yourself as something that you're not. And you are willing to work together, kind of in the pages, then can be that you're being authentic and vulnerable, and that maintaining balance within yourself, that you've healed from some past pain and heartbreak, that you have made peace with some of those issues from your past, that, I've worked through those things, I've kind of made peace with them, I have healed, and I am ready to look to the future and willing to get to know people. And then it's to get to know people to find out if other people are more balanced within themselves, if they're more motivated and inspired by truth and love or not, if they're more self indulgent, if they're more superficial and shallow, if they're more in dead energy, basically, To give birth to something new, we can always get in a new job, a new friendship, a new relationship, a new marriage, but are we the same person that we were in the last job, friendship, relationship, or marriage? Did we heal and learn lessons from that life experience to be inspired to do things differently? See where we needed to heal and grow and mature ourselves. See what things kind of manipulate us, how we can repeat some poor past patterns, right? And choose and make that free will choice. I am not going to repeat some of those poor past patterns. And I have learned these lessons in life. And I am more inspired to do things differently. And then we do this work within ourselves to love ourselves, maintain balance within ourselves, stay more independent of our more immature, shadowy nature, to be the sevens can be like the tipping point. I'm going to move forward with more hope and faith and belief in myself and in others and in love. And as we do that, which some people could be in the process of just doing that work within themselves, that in the death card, then it can talk about we kind of see the truth of it. I see where I was more immature. I see where I was more caught up in my head or my fear. I see where I could have been more codependent, whatever it is. And then we see the truth of it and we kind of emotionally detach, where it's like, I don't want to live my life like that anymore. And I see the truth of it and I see where I need to grow up and mature myself. And I could also maybe see, you know, when I thought a certain way, felt a certain way, viewed life a certain way, hadn't dealt with some of my own past pain and heartbreak or whatever, I could have gotten in certain friendships and relationships because of that. And if I don't want to keep, if some of those things that I thought were going to be just and fair and I ended up in heartbreak, well, I need to see the truth of why did I get in it and why did I stay in it? Because there's always going to be other people that I could get in a friendship or relationship with, but am I going to repeat the same pattern? And in high vibe, the pages can talk about I have completed a cycle. I worked through it mentally. I worked through my immaturity, my defensiveness, my getting caught up in my mind. I've healed. And so there's some people right now communicating with and getting in their friendships and relationships with people that they have learned these lessons in life. And they could have other people in their life that haven't learned some of those lessons. And other people are trying to figure out what your truth is about these energies, and you're trying to figure out what their truth is about these energies as you're getting to know people. Who seems more balanced? Who seems to be more independent of their immature nature? Who seems to have learned some of the same lessons I've learned? Who are the people who seem to be more imbalanced, more about themselves, more about indulging themselves, wanting to be indulged, kind of manipulative, kind of defensive, kind of immature, kind of superficial and shallow? Who has transformed as, themselves and who hasn't? Who's learned some of the lessons in life that I've learned and who hasn't? And just like you could be doing that with people, other people could be trying to do that with you to figure out what your truth is and what you think is just and fair. And shadowy people are wondering if they can tempt you in your more worldly nature to be more, live more from your mind than your heart, to be more self indulgent or indulge them. High vibe people aren't looking to try to manipulate you, don't want to even be in a relationship with people who are people who indulge other people. It's like, who's more balanced within themselves, more truthful, more authentic, knows their worth and value, wanting to be in relationships with people who aren't still kind of caught up in other people or don't know their worth and value, because then those people could be more manipulative, more taking action out of codependency or fear or lust or greed or codependency. And you've probably already cut some people out of your life who you feel aren't really aligned with their more loving nature, have you could feel aren't very stable, aren't very grounded, lack self-awareness, self-insight, have a lot of things that manipulate them that they probably don't want to see the truth of, that are more have illusions about what it means to be in a relationship, are more self-indulgent, don't want to be more independent of being more about themselves or the world or their ego or their defensive nature. And if there's someone that you could have communicated with that is in a relationship with someone else, then it's like, okay, well, I need to accept the truth of that and move on. And as you're doing that, there could, if you're not in a romantic relationship, there could be some people like you who have been in similar situations and got out of those type of situations and are looking for someone who has also kind of learned those lessons and who they think is more authentic, more balanced, more healed, more just, more fair, and could just want to get to know you more to see if you're on the same page. And if you are on the same page, then they would want to keep being in friendship or relationship with you. And you could have some people like that in your life. You don't want to be independent of them, friend or family members, or if you're in a romantic relationship. And some of those people don't want to be independent from you. But people have to be willing to communicate their truth, speak their truth, willing to heal relationships, not be more self indulgent, not be more about themselves, not, kind of discipline their more shadowy nature to not act in more shadowy, self indulgent, manipulative, prideful, immature ways of being. And the people in your life who know that you're not like that, they're not like that, yeah, and together, you and whoever you hang out with are trying to offer truth and love to work together with other people cooperatively. And some of those people will come with you and keep moving forward with you. And there's other people that are like, no, that's not my truth. I don't want to do that. I do like to manipulate people. I do like to be defensive. I do like to be more immature or whatever. I like to be indulged. And those will be the people that, as time you get to know them more, will be people you'll let them do their own thing and focus more of your time, energy, on effort on the people who do work together with you in a high vibe way. What's coming up for people who harness some high vibe Cancer energy that they might not see coming? We have the Emperor and the Death card, and the reason it came out is because of the Nine of Pentacles. You did this inner work within yourself to heal, to get balance within yourself, to love yourself, to work through the emotional confusion of some people in your life who don't seem to want to work together in a more just and fair way. And because you did that inner work within yourself to know your worth and value, and that love is to be just and fair, you made the decision to detach from some people in your life, people who harness this energy in a more shadowy way. They could be more inspired by the world. They could be more intimidating or controlling, don't want to become more independent of being more about themselves, or are in other relationships, or are just more inspired to make their life more about things they indulge in, or ego or image or something. And you see the truth of it. So you see that you harness your Aries, your Virgo, your Cancer, your Scorpio, your Libra energy differently. And so you've learned the lesson you needed to learn. And so we get to move forward in life authentically different when we've dealt with the truth of some situation. We kind of like learned the lesson we needed to learn. And it could have been to love ourselves, believe in ourselves, not repeat old patterns, to know our worth and value, see that we're repeating an old pattern, that we're in relationships with people who aren't just and fair. And because you know your worth and value, and because you're being like a good leader in your own life, is what the Emperor can talk about, and you're not repeating old patterns, other people could view you as a very mature person to be a high vibe Emperor energy within yourself. Internally, you're an Empress energy, which is emotionally, you're just, you're fair, you're balanced, you love yourself, you're stable and grounded within yourself. And there could be other people who want to move forward with you, who don't want to become independent of you or stay independent of you, because that's who they are also, and they want to be in a relationship with other people like that. Other people who aren't repeating some of these old patterns, being in more codependent relationships, because that makes logical, practical sense, or just getting in a relationship to be in a relationship, to indulge himself in it, but to be in friendship and relationship because you inspire each other to love and believe in yourself, and you know your own worth and value, so you don't indulge in your shadowy nature. And if you're not in a relationship with someone, there's always gonna be shadowy people who want to stop you from knowing your worth and value. And they could purposely do that by not being in friendship and relationship with you because they want you to be heartbroken. And like, I'm not going to be loving and encouraging of you to love and believe in yourself because I want you to be in a relationship with me and heal a relationship with me, but I want you to do it the way I want you to do it, which is you not loving and believing in yourself and knowing your worth and value and requiring the relationship to be more just and fair and based on love. I might like to not be just and fair. I might like to be more about me. I might want to be bossy and controlling. I might want to be immature. And you should indulge me in that way because they indulge themselves in that way. Or whatever they're kind of codependent on, they want you to let whatever that is, or people, or the world, or living more from your mind than your heart, to let that manipulate you too. But you found it kind of heartbreaking, and you're inspired to do this work within yourself to become independent of them. I don't want to live a life of illusion where I'm not growing and healing and maturing myself, and I can't be more independent. Like, some people stayed kind of dead and stagnant because they don't want to step out of their comfort zone. They're not inspired in high vibe fire sign energy to be more independent of their worldly nature, ego nature, defensive nature, whatever. And you are. And there's going to be other people in the world who will be people who encourage you to do that. And based in Virgo, it can talk about these lessons that you've learned, to listen, to get to know people, maintain balance within yourself in high vibe Libra, to not be more tempted by these things of the world that you want, like friendship or relationship and stuff like that, to know your worth and value and not settle kind of for less than you deserve. You don't want the illusion. You want truth and justice and fairness and people who are tempered in their ego nature, who are emotionally mature and motivated and inspired by love. And you will listen to your intuition about who's who. And the people who that doesn't seem to be their truth, you will emotionally detach from them. Some people you've already emotionally detached from. You know, we can become independent of some people, but then it can take us some time to emotionally, and the death card is Scorpio energy. It can take time to emotionally detach, to work through all the mental confusion and all that, that there are some people in our life that we just at one time maybe viewed as more just and fair, or we thought they would grow up, or we thought they'd mature themselves over time. And with some of those people, you see they haven't, and they could be people that you no longer view as someone you'd want to be in a relationship with. And so you've emotionally detached from people who harness this energy in a more shadowy way. And if there's the people in your life who harness it in a more high vibe way, are the people you're going to move forward with. But you have changed. You're not the same person that you were before. You did grow and heal and mature yourself, so you get to go on to the next level of the video game of life. And while you're doing that, some other people might be trying to get some people to move forward with them in a relationship to try to make it look like they've healed and grown and matured themselves. But they still could be out of balance. They still could have these illusions about what it means to be in a relationship. They still could be more about themselves and superficial and shallow. And unless they get in a relationship with someone who is also like that, you know, because sometimes shadowy people, again, try to present themselves as more stable, grounded, and mature and just and fair than they really are. And they, in order to try to help create that illusion, like, I've changed, I've healed and grown and matured myself, is to try to get in a relationship with someone who really is more that type of person so that they kind of look like they're that type of person. And for some of the people that are doing that, the people in their life could be a little heartbroken because they move forward, kind of bought into the illusion. And now they kind of realize that those people aren't who they thought they were. And then those people kind of struggle with it because it's like, gee, I wanted this dream to come into reality. You know, when we put work and effort into trying to make something work, we can kind of have a hard time getting out of it. But then people do this work within themselves, and it's like nothing changes. I don't think this person, you know, their dreams are different. What they want to do, what they think is just and fair, what they're kind of manipulated by is different, you know, and some of those people will become independent of them. If they find someone who's more on the same page as them, you know, motivated and inspired by what they're motivated and inspired by, like to do what they like to do, and maybe never want to be more balanced, more caught up in whatever they indulge in, or codependency, or the world. Then if neither one of them are like that, neither one, they're happy with the way and the stage of life that they were in, you know? We've all been 18, 21, and 25. Some people like to stay at those certain stages of life a lot longer than other people. And we can kind of all relate to those ages because we went through them. But, you know, the same thing happens as you get older. Well, I didn't get out of all these other phases of life to stop being inspired within myself, to keep growing and healing and maturing myself and freeing myself from, you know, it's like always shedding layers of your old versions of yourself to hopefully in high vibe emperor, like, which is about the self. I want to feel more stable and grounded within myself. I want to invest in my own unique talent, skills, and interest. I want to feel more independent. I don't like having things from my past or my immature nature or my lust or my greed or the world to manipulate me. I want to be more independent, and other people don't at whatever stage of life they're at. And some people never will want to become independent of certain things that could manipulate them. But again, some people could have some things that manipulate them that really don't manipulate other people. And then they kind of want that to, for people to be okay with whatever that is. And it's like, well, it doesn't manipulate me that way. I don't, and you can just be different. And so it's like, you know what? I'm going to wish you peace and love. You do what you want to do and what makes you happy. But sadly, it's just like when we date people that, you know, can we be hopeful and optimistic and, you know, move forward in a relationship? But then as time goes by, we could all be kind of sad, but kind of like how I envision my future and what I think is just and fair and my idea of the dream life, and how you envision your future and what you are motivated and inspired by and your idea of the dream life. It's just different. And though people can both be sad, you know, sometimes not everything, and that's like high vibe Scorpios, how I, or Scorpio energy is how I view it. Not everything we go invest in works out the way that we want. But it is willing to kind of not give up on ourselves, not give up on our dreams, that not is going on this journey to explore life is kind of what Scorpio is about emotionally. And again, we're emotionally complex people, and all the different factors and ways of viewing life and living life and things we enjoy, things we don't enjoy, things we do want to invest time, energy, and effort into, what we don't, what inspires us, what motivates us. You know, it's complex. So don't let the fact that some people were shadowy in your life, some people were more immature, some people could have been hurtful, bossy, controlling, manipulative. don't let that stop you from loving and believing in yourself. See the truth and invest more of your time, energy, and effort into people who you think, and be willing to get to know them. But when they show you the truth of who they are, you know, accept it. We can be loving and encouraging people, but if other people aren't inspired within themselves to heal or work through things that manipulate them, it can keep us stuck. And it's like high vibe energy is being a good leader. Can we have love for people in our life and we're keeping our distance from them? Yes. Could they have things or people in their life or things they like to indulge in that kind of manipulate them that they love? Yes. Are they willing to see what things they should become independent of and make some good decisions in their own life, knowing their own worth and value, and seeing what things keep them stuck and what things are kind of more conducive to being encouraging to them to love and believe in themselves? We can't make other people see the truth. We can't make other people love and believe in themselves. We offer people truth and love and encouragement, and then we kind of go on our way. You know, if they seem to want, all three of and this cards are all facing the past. We'll all keep repeating a pattern over and over and over until we kind of get inspired within ourselves. Kind of in Aries is about the self, and Leo to temper our fears and our insecurities and love and believe in ourselves, and in Sagittarius to get inspired to wrap our brain around this game of life and see that some of the things we do or people we align with or vices or something, we think we're going to get justice and we get heartbroken. When are we going to see that some of the things that we could invest in aren't working? And we could always be wanting other people to change and heal. But the truth could be they have their truth. If they were motivated and inspired within themselves to heal, they would. And for some people, they're like, no, that's not my truth. I'm okay doing this. And until some other people kind of see the truth of it, they're going to keep, trying to not become independent of some things or people if those people don't move forward differently. And it kind of keeps them trapped. I was like, well, I'm going to let y'all be trapped together. So, what's coming up for some people who harness some more worldly, shadowy Cancer energy that they might not see coming? Okay, we got 3 cards not showing themselves, and the reason is because of the truth. Shadowy energy can be where people are defensive to the truth, because part of seeing the truth is that maybe we should get more balanced within ourselves, that we could be indulging poor behavior in ourselves for others, and out of love for ourselves, we should offer love and encouragement to ourselves to get more balance within ourselves. Love is to be just and fair, and to see the truth of who wants me to be more balanced within myself, who wants to do a more just and fair and balanced relationship, who respects me as my own individual with my own unique talent, skills, interests, dreams, and aspirations, and who doesn't want me to kind of be more independent and maybe wants me to keep staying more codependent, probably because they're more codependent, or they want me to be codependent on them. And, regardless of who they are, a friend or a family member, well, most of us, nobody probably on watching tarot is under age 18, you know? It can be someone who's kind of like, I want to be your parent, and I want you to be like my child. You should listen to me. You shouldn't love and believe in yourself. You shouldn't listen to your intuition. I don't want you to do life any differently. If you love and believe in yourself, you might manifest your dreams into reality. And I didn't make those decisions. So I'm living my life like this. And it would bother me if you went and lived your own authentic life. So I'm going to try to do all these things to try to manipulate you with the love that you have for me or whatever to make you be fearful of being more independent of me. Because if you were to go be more independent and you freed yourself, well, I'm still back here with all these things that manipulate me. And then I'd be wondering why I don't do that. And I don't want to deal with any of that. So I'm going to try to stop you to make you do this. Well, some people keep staying in that energy. And that is the truth of some of the people in your life. They do not want to change. They do not want to be just and fair. They do not want you to be more independent. They want you to repeat an old pattern because that's what they do. And some shadowy people who never want to deal with the truth or heal or get more balanced within themselves or temper their fears or insecurities or past pain and heartbreak, they could always be surprised when other people do. And right now, they could have some other people in the world are healing and they're moving forward in life differently. And they're detaching from people who are more shadowy or repeating an old pattern because they've been there and they've done it enough and they're ready to move forward in life differently. And the other people are like, what? Be more independent? Step outside my comfort zone? Not keep doing the same things I've always done? That's scary. Well, then they're going to keep doing that. And other people are going to move on. And the people in their life who harness these energies in a more high vibe way are going to move on from them. And the people in their life who harness those energies in a more worldly, shadowy way are going to keep staying in a friendship or relationship with them. And they might not want people to know that more high vibe people moved on because they harness these energies in a more shadowy way. And then when they end up surrounded more by people like themselves, they want to try to present themselves as that it's a just and fair and loving relationship, but really it's shadowy. But they don't want people to know the truth. The Nine of Cups, the Chariot, and the Star card. The high vibe people in their life harness high vibe Pisces, Cancer, and Aquarius, and all three of the air signs. And those people became independent of them because they saw the truth that they were more about moving forward in a relationship, being either more about themselves or these things of the world, harnessing a more shadowy Cancer, Aquarius, and Pisces energy, wanting to indulge themselves in a relationship, acting like they're motivated by love, but it's really more about them or how it's good for their ego or their image or their status. And the high vibe people realize the truth of it. It really isn't about love. It's the illusion of love. But of course, they don't want the people that they're right now trying to probably get to move forward with them in a relationship. They don't want them to know that the other people who moved on from them no longer bought into the illusion of who they were. They saw they were never going to give birth to anything different because these people are never going to become independent of these ways of being that manipulate them. And they will probably end up in relationships with other people who are more inspired to indulge themselves in the world, moving forward in friendships and relationships more for the ego or the image or the status or the codependency. But of course, they want everybody to think it's love, but it's the illusion of love. So there you go, Cancer. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.